In this session, what I want to do is I want to give you a very basic overview of what the Photoshop interface, some of the basic tools, etc., what that all looks like. Now, throughout the course, I've mentioned on a number of occasions that the majority of our retouching work is done by a third party. We ship that work overseas. They do it. It costs $1 an image, $2 an image, depending on the complexity of the work. For us, as a business, that makes the most amount of financial sense for us to continue to run a viable business. It makes much more sense to pay somebody $1 and have it done overseas than to pay somebody $25, $30 an hour to sit at a desk and retouch the same thing. So that said, it's still very important to understand the basics of Photoshop and understanding what Photoshop can do and how you can use it if you need to use it. But this time I'm just going to go through a very basic overview. So I'm going to cut over here now. So these are all the shots that we took in the headshot portion of the course. I'm going to select this image here. Now, I'm not retouching the original image. I'm retouching a copy of that image. So now this is a copy of it. I'm going to drag it into Photoshop and we'll wait for that to open. Now, I'm just going to go through the basic tools and bits and pieces. So for me, if I'm retouching an image like this, I'm going to push F because I like to work in a full screen. Now there's three tools and kind of quick keys that you absolutely need to learn, and they are going to be your best friend. Number one is the undo. By anyone you speak to, undo is by far the most used command in Photoshop, and it's Command Z or Control Z if you're using a PC. If you do something and you make a mistake, Command Z goes back a stop. Easy. Zoom. Z allows you to zoom into the image and zoom in and out into a section. Really, really handy tool. The other one is the hand. If you've zoomed into the eye there and you want to move around to her shoulder, you push the space bar and you can now move your way around the image. Okay? Z. Let's zoom out. So over here we've got a list of probably the most used tools. This one here is V. This one here is the move tool. It allows you to be able to move. If you had multiple layers, for example, there you can now move bits and pieces or the different layers around in your image. We'll go through layers shortly. Okay? The marquee and the lasso, these are really selection tools. So if I want to make a selection of the face, I can draw a square. If I want to make a selection of her face and I want it to be an oval or a circle, there it is there. Now I can change the parameters of this to be a fixed size or normal. So here, if it's normal, it allows me to do whatever I want. If I change that to be fixed size, I can then say I want 260 millimeters by 260 millimeters or whatever it might be. Right? The lasso allows me to draw around what I want to select. I want to select her face or just her jaw. There it is there. There's her jaw. Okay? I can right click, feather. Let's say we want a feather, so we don't want a really hard edge. We want a feather by 15, and then right click, layer via copy. Now I have a copy of her jaw with a little bit of a fluffy edge instead of, let's do that again with a hard edge, right? Layer via copy. If I turn that off, that one there has got, so now V, this one's got a really hard edge, this one's got a fluffy, furry, feathered edge. We don't need either of those, so let's delete them. Okay, back to here. So there are our selection tools. Crop tool. Crop tool is crop tool. It allows me to crop whatever I need to crop. So that I want to make that one into a square. There you go. That's the crop tool. Command Z. Okay. Eyedropper. Eyedropper is pretty handy because sometimes you want to make a selection. I want that particular green. I click on there. It changes it to that green. I want a darker green. There it is. wherever I put my eyedropper, it's going to go to my color picker and choose that color. That's your eyedropper. Healing brush. Healing brush is very handy. Healing brush is very handy for fixing blemishes and things like that. So there's a little bit of redness there. If I push J, that is the quick key to get to the healing brush. And now there's a couple of different versions of the healing brush. There's the spot healing or the normal healing brush. I prefer the normal healing brush because it allows me to say, create an anchor point or a sample point by pushing Alt or Option and say sample from here. And I click in there. And now where I move that, it's going to sample from here and put it there. And now that blemish is completely gone. There's another one here, but I don't want to use the same anchor point. I'm probably going to use that one there. There we go, gone. Right, there's another one here, gone. And so on. That's the healing brush. The healing brush also has something called the patch tool, which is there. So for example, the patch tool, if we want to get rid of, see this bit here, let's zoom into that. I push J to get the healing brush. So if I click and hold the mouse down, it gives me all the different versions of this healing tool. I've chosen the patch tool. I'm going to draw around this. And now I'm going to move that over to here. It's going to take a sample from here and copy it over there. There it is. Let's get rid of that other bit that's also distracting. I'll move this over this way. Gone. That's the healing brush or the patch tool. Another way of getting rid of things like this is with something called content aware. So if I make that selection, now I'm using the lasso to make that selection, and I push delete, it's going to say content aware. I click yes, it's going to work out what's around me and then copy that there. There you go. Gone. Okay? That fluoro sign there, that's very distracting. Again, I can highlight that or make a selection of it. There's my marching ants. I'm going to push delete, content aware. Now sometimes it works, sometimes it's a bit of a hit and miss. That one's not that bad. Okay? Again, that's why we've got the Command Z tool. L, let's make that selection there, and we'll try that again. Content aware, delete. See you later. Gone. Command D, that's gone. So that's selection tools and healing tools. The stamp tool is really handy when you want to copy things exactly as they are. Now I'll copy Harai, for example. If I push the S and I take my anchor point or my sample point by pushing the Alt or Option key and click it there, now it's going to put that I wherever I want it. So it's going to copy exactly what was here originally. Command Z, that's the stamp tool. Okay, the text tool, if you wanted to add text to your image and you say, hello, my name is Sam. There you go. Now, because that was the color that we selected, that's the color of the text. If I highlight that text, I can change the color there to be black or red, whatever I want it to be. Now, that is going to be another layer. There we go. So, they're really the most basic tools that you need to kind of make yourself aware of. Now, Photoshop is one of these things where you can spend hours and hours and hours and hours on the program and still not know anything. It's one of these programs that you really need to use. You've got to put some hours into it. A couple of pieces of advice I can give you is learn your quick keys. If you learn your quick keys, you can have one hand on the keyboard and one hand on the mouse, and you can switch between all the different tools that you need. Learn how to right click on things, learn how to push B for this and D for that and so on. You got to learn your quick keys, and you got to really put some hours into it. I'm going to provide all of the images that we've shot in the course are provided in the raw image, in the raw version, and also in the finished version. So you can now play along at home and copy the things that we're doing to try and make those images come up and look the same as ours have. That's been a very basic introduction to Photoshop. The next section, I'm going to move into layers and things like that. We'll catch you in a second.